Welcome back in. We talk about the big story, the Uniform Civil Code and that debate in this country. The 22nd Law Commission has started a fresh round of consultation and views of public expert groups, religious clerics and organizations have been sought by the law panel, and this is for the larger idea of having a uniform civil code in this country. A directive principle of state policy, it has not seen the light of the day. It continues to remain as an ideal that we wish to have in modern India, which is a democratic republic. Even today, despite being a democracy which is 75 years mature, we do not have a uniform set of laws that govern the sphere of our personal life. Marriage, divorce, inheritance, adoption and various other facets of our life continue to be governed by religious laws. While the Hindu personal law is the codified one, there are various other laws, for example the Muslim personal law, which largely is uncodified or has a scattered bit of litigation here and there. Now all these pieces of legislations have to be compiled together, and one common civil code is an ideal about which Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar spoke of. Will that really be a reality in this country? Will the present government, which had promised this in its manifesto, can really translate it as a statute book in today's day and age? That's the big question we ask. Uniform civil code, can it be a reality in today's day and age?
Uniform Civil Code is the most secular anyone in a secular country can get.
The agenda of the BJP is to sort of make this into a polarizing issue just before the elections next year, because their entire target is targeted particularly at one community.
इस मल्टी रिलीजियस मल्टी कल्चरल सोसाइटी में यूसीसी प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल नहीं है, और फिर सिर्फ मुसलमान ही इसके मुखालिफ नहीं है, सिर्फ मुसलमान ही के पर्सनल लॉज नहीं है, बल्कि जितनी भी रिलीजियस कम्युनिटीज़ हैं सबके अपने पर्सनल लॉज हैं।
समान नागरिक संहिता का कोई विरोध करता है तो वही विरोध करेगा जो देश की महिलाओं को अलग समझता है, बच्चों को अधिकार दिलाने से बचता है।
Well, one nation, one law. Shouldn't that be a reality in today's India? What is holding back India from having a uniform civil code, which most experts, constitutional experts across the world would argue should be the reality in today's day and age? Taking this question to our special panels joining us on Viewpoint, Mr. P.K. Malhotra, who's a former law secretary, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, who's a spokesperson of BJP, Pankaj Sharma, who's a journalist, and Tausif Ahmed Khan, who's an advocate and political analyst. Now, I'm coming to you, Mr. Malhotra, first. The 21st Law Commission under Justice B.S. Chauhan had argued that perhaps the time is not right for us to have a uniform civil code, and he cited the diversity, the sheer diversity of India, including the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution that gives special rights to the tribal communities or certain communities in the northeastern regions to have their own set of laws. What is holding India back as far as UCC is concerned? Mr. P.K. Malhotra, if you can hear me, sir. All right, I'll try and fix that line. Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, the spokesperson of the BJP, is also with us on the show. Gopalji, last time when the law panel was constituted, and it was constituted by Modi government, the law panel did not opine favorably for the Uniform Civil Code. Justice B.S. Chauhan said that that commission and that report, when it came out, it said that perhaps at this point it is not necessary, quote unquote, for us to have a UCC. All right, we seem to have a problem with the audio of Gopal Krishna Agarwal as well. Gopalji, can you unmute yourself, please?
Now I'm audible now.
You're audible, sir. You're audible,
Yeah.
sir. Please go ahead.
The issue, what I wanted to tell is, timing can be questioned and timing can be different, and there is a process through which the whole lawmaking goes through.
Yep.
There is a process of discussion, then there is a consensus building, whatever the objections or support for anything is there. Then finally the law commission gives the recommendation. Then it goes to the parliament. It's a long drawn process. But ultimately what the opposition does is that it jumps on every issue and every independent institution is said to be driven with the agenda. The second point that I want to underline is, does the country has to move towards the uniform civil code or not? Because it is the constitution in the directive principle article 44, it has clearly said that the country should have the uniform civil code. So ultimately the roadmap that the country travels, the time it takes is a different issue. There are various aspects, but as such uniform civil code, the opposition is trying to say that this is a divisive agenda. I do not agree with that. That is itself, that not having a uniform civil code is a divisive agenda which the opposition had been trying to pursue since independence. In 1956,
Gopalji, I agree with you that the entire idea of a uniform civil code in our country is not seen through a constitutional lens, but rather through a political lens in this country. But I also want to ask a question to the government and the ruling party right now, that at various occasions in the Supreme Court has asked the government that when are you going to bring a uniform civil code in this country? To which the government has often said in the Supreme Court that, look, do not interfere in this matter. This is a matter which is best left to the government, and there is no commitment that has been given to any court of law in this country as to how soon can we have a UCC. So one wonders, if the present government is committed on UCC, what is taking it so long to implement it?
We have to understand that even if the law commission suggests or recommends anything, ultimately it is the government of the day which takes the decision through the parliamentary process.
Right.
So the thing is, at this stage, it's only on a discussion stage, and there is definitely the commitment from our constitution that the government have been directed to move towards the uniform civil code. So if what I want to say is that in 1956, when there was a personal Hindu code bill for the personal law amendment and reforms in the Hindu code bill, at that time also there was a debate, and that point of time the people in power, due to their appeasement politics or pseudo-secularism, that what we call is vote bank politics, etc., they went for reforms in the Hindu personal law, but they abstained from doing any reforms in the other Muslim personal law particularly.
Right.
So I think it's already very late. It should have been done in 50s, but though it is late, the constitution puts the obligation on the government, and at this stage it's on a discussion panel. There are those who have objection, they can also give their opinion.
And even in the last law commission panel, there were objections that were raised and they were communicated to the law panel. So if any citizen of the country has any kind of opinion, they can share it.
To cast aspiration that uniform civil code is a divisive
Tausif Ahmed Khan, to cast a political eye on an idea like a uniform civil code, which is largely reformist in nature, which was spoken not just by the likes of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and various other leaders of independent India, but by the likes of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as well. Why would you call it a divisive agenda?
You see, people like Jawaharlal Nehru and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, those were people of different stature. Look at their educational qualification, look at their personal and public life, how they lived their life and how they conducted, and look at their speeches. What kind of idea of India they had. But the present regime that we are in is a communal government with a communal set of mind, with always looking for a communal agenda to keep their wheels of politics
You
moving.
have to first clarify, is UCC communal or not?
One second, Gopalji, let him make his point. Let him make his point. I'll come back to you, sir. Let him make his point.
Only 3 years ago, in 2018 August, a 215 something around that or maybe 185 page of law commission was presented on this very topic, on the uniform, on the reform of family laws. And in that law commission, which was working under the present BJP government, it was not a law commission of Congress government, it was a law commission of working under this government only. And they categorically said that a UCC at this stage is neither desirable nor necessary.
But
And the
Tawseef,
same
Tawseef,
was
one second.
repeated in
Tawseef, one
Parliament.
second. Tawseef, one second. You can't say in one breath that the present government is communal and then say in the second breath, but their own law commission said, look, you cannot implement it. That means that the government worked on this particular issue with a certain set of democratic temper. Now my question to you is, while there is a political case you do have as an analyst and a commentator on political issues, that the present government is of a certain nature, but the idea of a uniform civil code, the seed, this idea comes from the constitutional churning that India has gone through. It's a promise of the Indian constitution, and some elected government will have to deliver on this promise.
Absolutely. The Constitution of India had promised to its people a lot of reforms in every sphere of life, in social sphere of life, in uplifting the India from the poverty. Have we achieved them? You see, in order to have a mature population, in order to have a population who will understand what Uniform Civil Code means, you need to bring them up to a certain level.
Tawseef ji,
certain level where
but
they have
that was not the case. That was not the case when polygamy was banned. When polygamy was banned with the majority community and most other communities in India, I don't think that we were at a certain education level, or most of the India was out of poverty. In fact, it was the early years and early decade after independence that we saw that reform out of the day. A big job of the Indian constitution is to reform. Why should anybody be allowed to have more than one wife? This is clearly a law which is violative of human rights, violative of right to equality, but these customs continue to survive under this entire subterfuge of so-called personal laws.
See, exceptions cannot be discussed as if it is the rule. You and I very clearly understand what exceptions means and what is rule. As a matter of rule, we know practically Muslim population, they more or less majority of them, they live with one wife. If they marry second time, then there are reasons for it. The genesis of it is there in the religion, in the textbook. Okay. Now the concept of marriage, the concept of union of a couple, of a man and a woman, is a social contract in Islamic law. Whereas if you look at Hindu law, it is a divine union.
No, but that's only in principle. Divorce is not something that the Hindu religion gives you the permission of, but divorce happens in Hindu communities as well. In modern day and age, a marriage is a social contract for all religions said. I want to bring in Pankaj Sharma and also Mr. P.K. Malhotra into the discussion. Pankaj, what is the reason that we continue to have the debate around uniform civil code in this country on these very sharp political and divisive lines? Why is it called a divisive communal agenda? And why don't we look at it from a lens of equal rights for women, welfare politics, having just and equitable laws, which should happen in any democracy? Pankaj.
See, implementing UCC is a different thing. Intention behind this is a different thing. Is it so difficult for you to understand that why all this begin when elections are a few months away? There are elections in 5 states. Then there will be general elections also. And there is a possibility of general elections in the end of this year with these assembly elections. So BJP has to play all these dirty tricks. The debate on UCC is a tool to understand the design. I'll tell you the chronology. Just see the chronology. 21st Law Commission was constituted in 2016. Justice Balbir Singh Chauhan submitted a report saying that UCC at this time is not necessary, not desired. Then the term of 21st Law Commission ended in August 2018. 22nd Law Panel was constituted for a period of 3 years in February 2020. So its terms was supposed to end on 20th February 23. But in November last year, its chairperson, who is the current chairperson, Justice Rituraj Awasthi, he retired from the Karnataka High Court. He assumed charge as the chairperson of this 22nd Commission and given the task to settle this UCC matter. The term of the commission was extended up to 31st August 2024. So Justice Rituraj Awasthi, who is the current chairman, now has been given this task. So you see all these dates. Do they tell you something?
Well,
so the design behind it.
Yeah.
The design behind it is different. So
Well,
for
sir,
such a hugely diverse country like ours, implementation of UCC would not be practical, workable, and judicious. This has to
Pankaj,
be taken
you
very serious.
asked
it is
me.
a very long debate.
No, it is a very long debate, and the issue is not just of the minority community or to the Muslims in this country.